Alright, so as previously mentioned in ye old chat, this is going to be about an influence lecture. Two games we are going over today. One game, we are going to see someone build up some influence, and yeah, sure, whatever. Spoilers, they win with it. Who cares? We're not going to go over that one all the way through, though. That's a very, very close game. A lot of end game, which I don't really want to cover. So we're going to be about halfway through that game, and then we're going to switch over to another game that I have, in which we see someone kind of go against influence. So kind of both sides of the spectrum there. Building up influence, using it, and taking down influence and being happy with that too. So whichever side of the fence that you fall on, either like you like keep building it up or you like just getting rid of it, there's pretty much something for everyone here. On this day. Alright, so as you see here, we have Cho-Cha-Han as a lovely 9-Dan as white against a 5-Dan opponent who is black. Now, who do you think is going to have the influence in this game? They both open up with 4 points. You think black is going to develop the influence? Black usually... Yeah, that's usually who we think of when we think of someone developing influence. We don't usually think of white because they're going second. Therefore, it's harder to make a framework because your opponent's getting more, the first move generally. So if they want to build up something, they're going to be kind of like ahead of you. Unless they're going super, super territorial style, in which case you can kind of fall into that. Here we see dual 4/4s from white. And an uncertainty here for black. We can go orthodox, we can go anything. Orthodox, we got frameworks, we got approaches, whatever our little heart's desires. You are quite correct. Is that where I got this game from? Ooh, I don't know. So here, we have an approach, and white backs off. So far it looks like so far it looks like black's the one with the framework. Black's gonna be the one with the influence. Black further goes into a micro-Chinese. So okay, black has established a framework. It's unlikely that white's gonna get a framework this game. So surely he's the one with influence. Further, we see him splitting black on the right-hand side, as you would expect, nice and low, which isn't a high stone, obviously, so further evidence to suggest the person getting influence is not going to be black. Is not going to be white, rather. So this game definitely takes a turn. So the question is, where does it take a turn, and why does it take a turn? Okay. 2-space extension. Making ourselves that little base that we all love. Makes sense so far. Black's even shoulder hitting a 3rd line stone, and when you do that, you're not doing that for territory typically, you're doing that to build up. So okay, once again we're seeing suggestions that black is going to get all the influence. Settles, because one thing that you don't want to do right now is just be like, well, see, you're building up an area over there, so I'm going to ignore the fact you're attacking my stones and play elsewhere. Because if you do that, you're letting the fact that, white's being damaged completely slip through your mind, and black has to follow up and hurt your stones. And at that point, you're going to have 2 weak groups, and that number is usually very deadly in Go. So we don't like that. We don't like that at all. So sure, we're going to respond. Makes perfect sense. Black gets to respond as well and gets stronger, but hey, that's the deal that we struck when we decided to play on the right-hand side. And now we can go do something about this framework. Okay. White could have played here if he really wanted to. Could have continued. Could have continued this way too if he really wanted to, get more of a framework for himself. Gone for something like this. But he says, no, I am not doing that. I'm going to give you the bare minimum, and then I'm going to try and reduce you. Bit of an aggressive strategy here. Black counters with forcing moves, because forcing moves are always good. Hard to go wrong with forcing moves, especially if you're not entirely certain what you're doing. It's like, I'd really like to counterattack this. Not really sure what we're going to get from it. So let's make ourselves stronger. Good idea, good idea. White responds, because he doesn't want to get sacrificed. He doesn't want to get cut off. If we're like, ha ha ha, I'm out now, sucker. Well, then we're just going to get this, and we don't want that. This is not the variation that we were hoping for here. So, okay. Got ourselves a honey. And then black protects. Interesting, interesting. It does attach to weak stones. But one thing you don't want to see here right now is black, I don't know, doing something else. And realizing that this attachment is also preparation for cut. So we have to do something to ensure that that is never played. And also, subsequently, the reason why we can see white playing this way. Because of that little itty bitty cut point. That little itty bitty one right there. That one right there. We can see why it's capping. So alright, black attaches. And with this we can kind of begin to see, okay, maybe he's not going to be the one with the influence. Because, I mean, this is very territorial now. And white instantly realizes what he can do here. This is really interesting. I will go ahead and spoil this game, because I'm not going to go through it completely. I will give you a link at the end, so you can look at the rest of the game if you want. But this is a 0.5 game. So this game is super, super close. Which might be surprising to some of you given the next few moves. Such as here. White ignores the fact that black contacted his stone to keep black low. And the reason for that is because he's already identified that he can get some influence in this game. The fact that black is so concentrated, he knows influence can be had by him, so he's going for it. And black subsequently realizes that influence can be had by black, so he gets a presence on the left-hand side of the board. So we've got this weird aggressive game here. We've got this really weird aggressive game here, where it's like, well, I have to make a cutting point or see if he draws back. He didn't draw back. Okay, fine, you got the cutting point. So I'm going to aim at the cutting point. And then black says, alright, I see you're aiming at the cut point, so I have to defend the cutting point. At which point white realized, because you're attaching to my stone, I can make influence. But because you're trying to make influence, I need something on the left-hand side of the board. So they're instantly trying to have this back and forth where they're just trying to counter everything the other one's doing. It's kind of weird. It's kind of an interesting game. I had no idea how this one was going to continue developing when I was trying to find a game for both Bat's Picks and my lecture today. It's like, ooh, what's going to happen now? What do you think's going to happen now? What would you do if you were white? Would you back off? Would you pincer? It's hard to decide, man. There's so many moves you can follow up with. I mean, you can back off, you can pincer, you can follow up, you can follow up, you can follow up. You can say, frack it all, I'm going to invade something else. Okay, not that one, maybe. No, Lefanam, we do not do time again. Your name is familiar. You commented in Bat's Picks. Did you play your game this week? Oh. Well, good luck when you do. Tengen, use your influence like a double-digit Q. No. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Instead, he decides to pincer, because if he pincers, black is probably changing direction, since one thing we're not going to do, or we're not almost ever going to see in a pro game, is this variation, in which black just gets kind of nothing. I mean, influence, sure, yeah, okay, whatever. That could be a thing where we just get the influence in exchange for a bunch of territory, you know, in Gote. Really, really hard to use this at a professional level. And there's also the more aggressive variation. We just never see this. We almost never see this. Because it's really, really hard to use. This is, in my opinion, more of a handicap variation, where you just needed some quick influence to counteract all of the handicap stones. I don't like this in even games almost all the time I see it. So, okay, black changes directions. Sure. White attaches. Going into that there 3-3. And blocking this way, which is really interesting. A lot of us would think, okay, yeah, we're going to block here. And maybe see something like this. But a lot of Aji in white's position. And if we descend again, we lose Sente. So here, not much Aji in black's position, or white's position. Continues to get influence. Black continues to get more of that there corner that he loves so much. And this is the move that we can't respond to. Because now that black is completely fine, when we do drop down to d18 like this, we know that it's going to, well, we don't know, but it's probably going to come down to here, where if we respond again, we've given Sente to black, and that's no good. So if we want to use this wall, we have to do it now, which does mean our opponent gets to high at the head of 2 stones. Okay, got that one. Because the last thing that we want to see here, right, is to like, hey, you can't Hani at the head of 2 stones. And now I don't know what I'm doing with my wall, because I just gave you an extension from your enclosure that really kind of works to negate it. White builds up. And black says, I reduce you. Now, does anyone here still like white's position? Just out of curiosity? Is there anyone here thinking to themselves, man, I wish I could take control of this game, I'd never lose. I'd end my losing streak if only I could play as white. Or is it still even? What is your opinion? And welcome to the stream, Star Dustker. Sorry that you're sick. Alright, we got some people who like white. Think black is fine. I could take over for black. I would never lose. Okay. Because people saying they don't like white. I'm comfortable as white. No place for Zan. Yes, that was within 0.5. Well remembered. Okay. Sector lines all day this game. Yeah, overall we'd like to be black more than white at the moment. That was my feeling too. I didn't like that feeling because I'm a fan of Cho Chul-han. I was like, no, you can't lose. How is he going to save this? And he even attaches to this stone. It's like, okay, that's interesting. You're just going to settle for that territory here. And black, being a crazy Korean, and that's usually synonymous with itself, by the way. There really aren't any other kinds. continues the aggression. It's like, I'm not going to let you extend from this either. This is all you're getting. Defend this and over-concentrate yourself. So, okay, he defends and over-concentrates himself while black builds up that right-hand corner. So now we're kind of feeling a little bit more uncomfortable. The idea that we need to get that influence is so important right now. So we don't respond to this, and we go back and play here. Because everything we need is in that center. Unfortunately, L17 was pretty nice. I don't think it's an overplay at all. I mean, this was an attempt to over-concentrate. That is realizing we're going to get Sente trying to over-concentrate. I think it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I mean, you could play something different, like here, for example. But you are letting white extend again, so a different game. Potentially, anyway. Alright, so white's going back trying to develop. Black's like, nope, not happening. But that Hane is exactly what white wants, because he gets to make a complication here. All that influence, and we invite a weak point? Of course he's going to try to make something happen here. So now we have a fight on our hands. It's like, okay, if I connect here, I'm so friggin' captured it's not even funny. So we have to connect here, right? Because if we do this, then this is not our friend ever. Then again, we can't really... Does that work? Seems to, right? Or would we Atari here first because we're like aggressive Korean? I don't know. Alright, so we play here. Yes, good assumption. So white gets to connect black Atari. Connects, captures, and sacrifice. Nothing we can do with sacrifice. Okay. Sack, 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 and sack. Now, that corner kind of just enlarged itself quite a bit. And the endgame at H19 is also not going to be our happy friend. But on the bright side, white gets Sente. Sente is important. So we can try and use that influence still. So alright, boom, Atari. And black connects. And white throws in the corner. See what Aji we have. Responds nice and strong. Okay, okay. And white connects. Kind of has to. If we try and do anything else, right? Like whatever it's going to be. This is pretty huge in terms of coming in, right? Because we're never going to build up this for anything. With all of these forcing moves there. And, you know, same thing. And that would be disastrous. Tengen, Tengen, Tengen. So okay, he connects. Black used the opportunity to get a forcing move on in. And then revive his stone. So he's not worried right now about all the influence in the middle. I certainly would be. But, to be fair, he's better at counting than I am. He knows his corners and what they're worth. Therefore, he knows what he has to be worried about in terms of white's area. And since white has no corners, and really has no sides, and only has that center, not really the most dangerous thing in the world to be worried about, right? Let's see, he drops down, gets the cut. Gonna try and keep all the influence for ourselves. It's the only thing we can do. White lives in the corner, or black lives in the corner rather. Black lives in white's corner. Ah, there we go, nailed it. And now white has Sente again. Which is really how white gets to develop, finally. M6, very close, right idea. Following up that move is a good idea. Could play M6, could play the Hane. But white goes for a little bit quicker profit and descends. Black follows, and we get to create a wall. So we're finally profiting there in the middle with our 100% influential game. Gets a double Hane, pulls back, protects, as you would expect. And then white says, boom, mine. And he even gets super awesome points for not playing Tengen. Because he obviously knew that I was going over this game later. So he couldn't bring himself to play it. It's like, I'll lose a fan if I play Tengen, so I'm going to play a little bit off of it. Those of you who do not believe that reason might instead say, no, he just used sector lines and realized that playing Tengen is too deep. But I choose not to believe that reason. Now the question to you is, how would you reduce this area? Yep. Everyone can instantly see where we're going. M6. And we can double Hane. That is a really, really obvious weakness. Because if white plays the Hane, then we're just going to get, bunched up and over-concentrated, and then he's just going to jump in and reduce us, and the entire game has probably been one of the most embarrassing of our career. So probably not going to do that as white. Instead, we see an interesting idea. It's like, you know what? I can't respond to that. So we're not going to. FC does in fact say it. K7, yep. It's like, alright. I'm slowly turning this center area into mine. Black says, okay, I'm slowly turning your 4 stones into mine. Which white says no to. The 2? Sure. Anything more? And now we have to be careful because we can be cut off. So white finds himself responding to black. He's not going to just take the 2 stones and give us Sente again. That'd be really, really cool. So there we go, white responds. Free move. And then we back off. Threatens to come in. Sees what we got with Aji. Black decides to play here rather than, here. If you played here, different endgame stuffs. Or this might just be a time Suji, I don't know. But suffice it to say, we get to block completely now. Which is good. That's what we want. So that middle looks like it's going to be ours. Black doesn't care because he can count. And he sees that... Wow, that helicopter is like hovering there forever. Not sure if you can hear that in the background. But yeah. Black can count that he's got a nice large corner. He's got a nice large corner. Left-hand side's not too shabby either. There is still a ko in the top right or not? That is a very good question. The top right is probably not going to ever go to any kind of co. I don't think we can go to a co. Can I, like, no, if I do that, I'm going to mess up the thing. So, what are we going to do instead? Let's go back one. And back to here. Ahaha. Essentially, you're wondering about that, right? Could do this. Only trouble with this is a few things. One, if we play it here, we're a lot more defended now. Okay, let's just play it from this then. That's easier to see. White plays here, but whatever. Let's say it doesn't. Let's go back and do this variation again. There we go. So not quite dead. Unfortunate, but true. And now the question is, can we actually push out and do anything here? Doesn't look like it, right? Because if we play here, we just can't break out. And one of the reasons why we can't break out is because of that R12 stone. Because all of these cuts, they just don't go anywhere. If we Hane and do things like cutting and whatnot, again, things just don't go anywhere. Now, we could try and do weirdo things like attempting to play this kind of deal. But we're about to reduce ourselves. Because the only way this is going to connect up is with moves like this, which are just inviting more cutting and bad things. So assuming you actually could run this group out somehow, with jumps or whatever, you're probably going to just reduce your middle. And you're getting capture all over the place, so yeah. And for anyone that didn't know that you could actually try to kill that invasion, now you know how. With these Slap Happy Stones. Cool variation to know if you are an overly aggressive player and like losing most of your games where you try to play this out. Because you can only use this when you're really, really strong in the area. Because as you can see here, tons of Aji around. Use it wisely. Alright, so white expands. Black says, I reduce you. And white says, no you don't. Black connects. White says, I told you so. Black extends, says, no, I can connect. But no, you cannot. It's like, oh, okay, well, I can connect this way. It's like, oh, yes, you can. And then white and black connects so solidly. Well, not really solidly, there's Aji here, but it does connect. Can't cut it off. That's unfortunate. Now, from here, I could continue throughout the rest of the game. But it's mostly endgame stuff. Black doesn't get to come in very far. Lots of endgame moves are essentially going to be played from here on out. They were both counting right from the beginning. When Black chose to go into the 3-3 in the bottom left-hand corner, he did so knowing that the game was pretty close. The white only has the middle, so he didn't feel he had to go and do anything weird and crazy and get rid of all that. It's like, I've got large corners. I've got sides. He's only got the center. So that should be okay. That should be okay. Unfortunately, like I said, game came down to 0.5. And if you want to view the rest of it, you can do so here. Instead, for now, I'm going to switch games a bit and go to another influential game. So I'm going to close this board and put up another. And I will see you in that one. Yes, the tree was intact. That is true. Tree was, in fact, survives. Ooh, 14 viewers. Hello to everyone. First time I catch a lecture, my PC blue screens and doesn't start again? Oh my god, I'm so sorry to hear that, Stardusker. It's not my fault. I didn't blue screen your PC, I promise. My stream is not a virus. Alright, so here we are with this game now. This game is one that's a lot easier to go over on account that I can just scroll through it to verify that I know their moves, which is nice. We also have some people in this game you may recognize. For example, White you may recognize as none other than Lee. And Black you might recognize as none other than Lee. So there you go. Lee is pretty good. Lee is a pretty good player in Korea. Alright, so we have Ysadol playing as White. I too bet Lee wins Nozumi. And this time we see similar opening. We have a slight difference from last game in that White approaches and Black decides to ignore and take a corner. Okay. Other alternative was to take this, but we don't really see that kind of thing very often nowadays. The idea here being the cut is small, no reason to connect. If you do play this way and your opponent does attach, I have to tell you, because I do see this a lot, don't connect and play out the variation. Because if you do, then you're not thinking about Sensei and the fact that you just gave it to your opponent. And if you gave it to your opponent, well, guess who's taking the open corner? I'll give you a hint, it's not going to be you. So if you play this way as White, don't finish that fracking Joseki. Go take corner. Much better. If they cut, just back off. And we're all good. We can play this way all day. Alright, so instead we play this way. White gets to follow up, immediately saying we are in for a territorial game. And instead of responding, Black follows up. Yep, with L3. Good. Very good. Now we follow up. Does White get the corner? Sure. But our stones aren't dead yet for Black, so we can do really, really cool things, such as use this for Aji later. We don't connect it now. We used to do that. That used to be a thing that we did a lot. Nowadays, we're kind of just like using it for, again, Aji just for later. If we connect, instead of doing something else, let's say, then that kind of just further involves more fighting and potentially over-concentrating yourself way too early on in the game. So this isn't bad. This isn't bad. Get to see how White's going to follow up from here. He responds by approaching. Okay. Now, here's another thing where I usually see Q players make very, very unusual decisions. They'll decide to pincer here because they're aggressive, and that's just what aggressive players do. They just pincer everything, and who cares where we can get territory from. If we just attack enough, they'll leave the game. And that's usually what we're going for. Just get them out of the game. But no, we have a low stone at L3, so we can easily play here and take territory. It makes perfect sense. If White decides to come in, you can be like, booyah, I'm going to attach to you. And develop the left-hand side as well. So we play some Joseki here. Black cuts, White goes way underneath. And here we can see how Black gets influenced this game. White has a grand total of no territory. He's got no points here. He's got about no points here. He does have Komi though. That's a little more than no points. And now Black decides, I'm going to keep you low and ensure you have no points here as well. Now this is very, very brave of Black to do. Not many people sit down across the board from Yi Sedol and think to themselves, you know what I'm going to do this game? I'm gonna play for influence. It's not like he's aggressive and good at living everywhere. So immediately we tip our hat to Black, who's deciding a very, very unusual strategy to try against Yi Sedol. Okay. So he jumps out. Black could settle here. He could let bygones be bygones and play c17, thus saying to himself, I'm going to just use this to settle, and all will be well. But no. He's like, I'm going to be continuing my influence. What you gonna do? So he builds up some influence. Takes Sente to strengthen his cutting stone, giving his position a lot of strength on the board. A lot of strength indeed. And he may even get to keep a corner, unlike last game, for, some actual points. So he might have some corner points. He might have some influential points. Interesting game so far. White saves his stone, giving Sente back to Black. Black turns to ensure that White just can't run the third line stones, and then jump out, thus completely erasing, Black's influence immediately. Not going to see that this game. Yes, I think this is my pick. This is the one I use for picks. Indeed. This was a cool game to go over it. That, and there weren't really a lot of other games to choose from this week. A lot of the Samsung games were extremely aggressive, which can be fun to go over, but they tend to lose a lot of people. The comments that I actually get the most, where people are just like confused as to what's going on, is typically in the Bats Picks things. So there's that. Let's see here. So it's wrong to net that? Where? Here? This does leave more Aji. This does indeed leave more Aji. I would be worried. Maybe I shouldn't be. But I'd be worried about the extra liberties that you can have. And even little things like, well, can I just play here then and sacrifice those 2 stones? I mean, is that something that I can do? Or are you gonna try and kill them off and just allow me to make a wall here? That'd be my first idea, that I'm just giving my opponent 3 stones where I'm trying to make influence. What else? Can we do anything on the left? I don't think we can do anything on the left. Probably not, huh? So yeah, that'd be my worry. Maybe it's possible. Maybe it's possible. I'm not saying it's bad. Why is it White's move still? Oh, right. So White approaches. Black ignores for more of that influence. Sente. And insult. Alright, Tengen. Obviously, Sedol did not know I was reviewing this game, otherwise I'm sure he never would have played it. Unlike last game, where clearly they knew who was reviewing the game. Yes, he dared play Tengen. Now, once again, those sticklers among you might think to yourself, no, he just looked at the sector line and played a good move. I should tell him that, yeah, it's a good idea. But alright, he's playing on the outer edge. And Black decides that he's just going to completely own Yi Sedol. It's like, you know what? I see your I see your Tengen. And I'm just going to create weak groups for you. Because you can't defend everything and connect everything up. So he's trying an extremely large scale attack against one of the most aggressive players in the world. That is pretty brave. This, you can't do that if you don't have confidence in your play. If you're timid, you're not doing this kind of game. Alright. Ysidol jumps on out. Why not? And then Black tries to go into his splitting attack, which looks amazing at the moment. It's like, wow, yeah, Tengen is under attack and don't really know what's going on with the R14 stones. I mean, this is getting kind of dangerous. Ysidol just jumps on down. Black connects on up, or tries to anyway. If he gets to connect there at Q4, then everything goes well for him now. So Ysidol cuts him off. Okay. Tries to make the stones heavy. And Ysidol says, enough responding to you, I'm going to actually try to fight back now. So Black says, fine, then I'll cut through. At which point White says, then I'll just take your corner. And Black says, fine, you do that. So White says, okay, I will. And thus his corner is gone. But he gets more influence out of the deal, Black does, as we can see here. In Sente, no less. So he's now in a position where we saw last game. Black has no more corners. He is now doubling down on all of that their influence. This must turn into something. So he starts off here. Nice follow-up. He can target any time, but it's not Sente now, so we're not going to do it. If we play this move right now, it does not have any effect of White living in the corner, the bottom left-hand corner, which is why we know it's not Sente. Instead, White will continue trying to live in that middle. So we poke him. As Chachi, no, not Chachi, as FC says, we keep poking lion with stick. So, okay. We got connection here now from White. He's been made heavy. Black applies pressure. And X down goes says, if you do massive scale, isn't this like... Oh, I remember that one. A little bit different, but similar. A little bit different, but similar. So, alright. Now, we should note here that White is under attack in the center. But we're profiting as well while we're attacking, right? We're not just doing this for YOLO strategy. We are attacking for profit right now. White says, okay, how about I kill off your probe? And Black says, how about you don't do that? It's like, okay. Well, if I can't do that, then you're threatening to cut through me, because I just made a small knight. So I need to fix that. And again, threaten to kill off your probing stone, your poking stone. To which, again, Black does not want that to happen. Okay, good. So far, so good. Now, I'm going to put the question to you fine folks. This is kind of like Dasan's lovely little shape lecture, where, you know... Is it the shape lecture? I think so. Where you're just trying to make life in the middle. How the frack do we make life in the middle? What's our next move? I'm sure everyone above 2Q knows. 3Qs? I don't know. K12 set. Okay, just going for the shape itself. Alpha J14. Lot of things being said. Okay, interesting. I'm seeing a lot of interesting choices. Maybe it's not as Maybe I'm just dumb. I thought it was a rather obvious move. Maybe I'm wrong. This is a great forcing move. Because he can't honey on the inside, he has to respond to it. And it gives us more of an area for moves like K12 later. So I mean, we'd like to do K12, but we could probably enlarge the area we're threatening to get eyes with if we play this first. So black says, okay, I'm going to respond, and he's not responding with a Hane, right? Because that's just giving away, you know, Aji and things. Like, just allowing him to get another move in there for free. So we're not doing that. We're purposely backing off, so we don't make our opponent any stronger than we have to. And now that he played that, we can go and play here. Because we're threatening to make a whole bunch of eyes now. Black hammers down, says, I'm going to kill you. White says, I don't think you know who you playing. Black says, I'm playing a dead man. And White says, oh really? What if I just leave? Black says, well, if you leave, I'm going to play the Atari over here. For I have no idea what reason. This is where my brain broke. I think he's giving up trying to kill it at this point. Because I don't understand why he played the Atari. Very rarely do I actually come across a move in a game that I just flat out don't get. Profit before profit, yeah, I agree with that. But right now, this seems really, really important. I mean, even if we were going to play something like this, I could get it because we're solidifying the fact that, you know, White's not going to turn around and keep jumping in later. That one I could get. But to completely play away is, I don't know. Maybe this is worth more. Maybe I'm just so bad at counting I don't get how much this move is worth. I'm a lot better at finding weak moves and large points and things like that than being able to say, okay, this was a good move because this is worth, 15 points as opposed to this other one which was worth like 14. That is my weakness. So maybe it's that, I don't know. Ysutil follows up. He's like, okay, if you don't want to attack me anymore, I'm just going to play away. And again, we see play away, so clearly Black's like, I can't attack you anymore. I'm going to defend myself. And White's like, alright, I'm just going to walk the dog right back to my stones, I suppose. And again, we see defensive strategies enabled. It's like, I'm just going to defend myself now. N15 also threatens J11. What is J11? J11. Doot. Really? Did I miss something completely there, Ukasus? How does N15? Oh, that one. Okay, I'm high. I was completely misreading. I'm like, how is that a threat? No, okay, I see. Yeah, there and cut through. Right. That one makes... Yeah, sure, that one makes sense. That one makes sense. Cool. Alright, got it. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And that would make some points. That's also true. Yep. Okay, so White defends. Black connects on up. Or White connects on up. Black connects. Enlarges a little area. Black says, I cut through you now. Which, as Ukasus pointed out, is fairly large. That's a pretty good area right there. That one I get. Bottom, not so much. This one's understandable. White takes. Okay. Black threatens a bit. White goes deeper. Black responds. Because we kind of have really, really bad Aji here that we have to worry about now. We don't, for example, want this coming to haunt us, which is really close to doing. Especially with the Aji of that cut at D15. That ladder can easily wind up working, in which case we have to back off even more, and that area that we want to get smaller. Poke. Poke. Counter poke. Connect. And lock them out of the area. Okay. White then takes the 2 stones. Black connects, and white immediately goes into eye mode. That threatens to kill. Gets herself some shape. Has to connect. Then we can go back into making sure that we're not going to die here anytime soon. So okay, we're completely locked off the connection, but we've got some shape, so we're all good. But that means that black gets to save himself, so we have to save our stones, which means black has to save himself. Sente for white. Excellent. Pokey pokes. Pokey pokes. Pretty large move here. That one would be nice for white if you got to play S7. Instead, he only gets to play T6 now, as black connects, I think. Yep, there we go. Now, how much longer does this game go on anyway? Did I want to do all of it? Did I really want to do all this game? I could do all this game. What time is it? 10 minutes? Can you get to the rest of this game in 10 minutes? Maybe if I stop yammering and start clicking. Alright, so sure. We did that. Threatens to poke on through. Black says no. So white says I reduce you some more. Black follows up by reducing the corner. And all we see now is just white poking and getting more and more territory. Can't let this group connect though. That's insane. If that white group gets to connect all along the top, can't let it happen. So he reduces. White defends. Threatens to kill some stuff. White decides to use himself some Aji. And threat to connect on up with that Aji, which would be really, really bad because there's so much available. There's so many cutting points right now. That's just insane. And for those of you who are thinking to yourself, well, I don't get why White's doing, why White's doing this right now. It doesn't have to worry about not being dead when his middle group. And the answer to that is really no. Because we can see here, moves like this are threatening to get an eye, moves like that would be threatening to get an eye, and moves like this just threaten to kill everything, because we still have all of these cutting points. So no, we're all good so far. Poke out eyes, make sure there's only one there. Then you can go over top of the stones, potentially, I guess. Defends himself. Wait, I missed a stone. Did I miss a stone? Oh, no. White pushes down, then black defends himself. There we go. I thought I messed up the tree. But no, we're getting them both right tonight. So ha! Defends corner. defends, connects on up, and then reduces for a lovely little monkey jump, which we're of course going to defend, because we don't want to lose our corner. That is not Sente, so black gets to push through. It's fairly nice for black. Threatens to connect on up, which is also fairly nice for black. But white's starting to cut first instead. Black connects on up, or keeps white out from reducing him even more, but it's kind of weird because now we get to Atari, forcing black to take. And from that, now that that's disconnected, we get to do happy things like threaten to take O1, which white finds black not able to respond to. He's just going to go and connect here, but that just allows this to take place, as well as this. Now it does go to Ko. Pretty large Ko too. Not with the intent to fight it though. Just for one move. Get black to use up a Ko threat. That's all we're looking for here. At that point, black has to connect, because if he connects, then the Atari will kill him off. So we're still happily either a Ko, or we can just play Q1. And at that point, when white pushes through, black goes ahead and resigns. Decides it is not enough territory on this board for him, and so he ends the game. So not very often you see Tengen being used just to reduce a really, really large area, and it actually going fairly well. But in this game we were able to see it. We were also able to see that whole idea that we have to profit while we're attacking. And we saw moves like this, understanding that idea, where black said, okay, I don't know how to keep attacking that for profit, so I'm just going to go back and take my points. So we played here. We saw moves here for the same reason, like trying not to attack him for too long, trying to get those points on in, which is always good to remember. Always good to remember. And of course, we just got to see Settle in action, which is always fun.